Great job, guys. Our next presenter is an industry veteran, the first African-American writer/editor to work in the comics industry, and who is noted for his works on Quantum and Woody, Static Shock, and Black Panther. Ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Priest.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Let the church say amen. Let the church say amen again. Before we get started, I have a brief announcement. Official memo from DC Comics. Date October 23rd, 1990. From James Owsley, editor, DC Comics, extension 846. To Terry Cunningham, Dick Giordano, Bob Greenberger, Roger Rivera. I would like to establish a penciling rate for Joe Quesada of 75 big dollars a page. Joe is an extremely talented newcomer who shows a lot of promise. I would like DC to review his performance in 6 months and consider him for a more substantial pencil rate. I would also like to establish Joe's pencil cover rate at $110. Please let me know if there's any problem. Thank you very much. So, I am Christopher Priest, better known as Tom King's Lex Luthor. I created Joe Quesada many years ago. I assembled him from the body parts of more talented artists. If any of you read the Ray comic book, the Ray series that we did, I based a lot of that character on Joe. When I met Joe, he looked like the Ray. He was this skinny kid, broke, girl problems, lousy apartment, anything you read in the Ray. You know, maybe not the scene where he takes a bath with his clothes on, but I don't know if he did that, but pretty close. But he was just this great guy, and I immediately saw, the potential in him, and he just showed up at exactly the right time. It's one of these stories. It's one of these things you can't make up. Where I had nothing to offer him when he showed up at DC, but while he was in the office, I had an artist call up, and he started making all these demands. And I won't tell you who the artist is. Well, maybe if you catch me in the hallway, But this artist called me up, and he wanted a bigger dressing room or something. I don't know. He was making these demands, things I couldn't give him. And I said, I'd like to give it to you, but I can't. Well, if you can't do that, I quit. I said, you quit? He goes, yeah, I quit. And I went, oh, okay. And I hung up the phone, and I sat there for a minute, and I went, hey, is that Quesada kid still out there in the hallway? And it began this beautiful relationship. Okay, so about 8 months ago, I was in a dollar store, and I was standing in line to pay for something, I don't know, and there's this little kid, about 8 years old, and here's his dad, and they're in line in front of me, and there's this cover story with the late Chadwick Boseman on the cover. And the child is he's going on and on about Black Panther and how he loves Black Panther and Black Panther, Black Panther. So I look at him and I go, well, Jimmy, I created that character. And the father turns around and looks at me and he's like, what an awful lie to tell to a child. And, his whole attitude was like, well, if you created Black Panther, why are you shopping in a dollar store? And my reply is like, because I work for Marvel. So, of course, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created Black Panther. I'm not trying to take credit for anything. I loved Stan. Stan was my friend. I'm proud to call him my friend. I love Stan to death. I have the utmost respect for Stan and Jack. But as you know, you all work in the industry, these characters have lots of mommies and daddies. And we had Don McGregor, and we had Roy Thomas, and now we have the great Ta-Nehisi Coates and other people who have come along, Brian Stelfreeze and so forth. But Black Panther, as we know him today, as the mass market knows him, was born in this little cul-de-sac at Marvel, this little semi-autonomous zone at Marvel Comics called Marvel Knights. And it was at a time in Marvel's history where they weren't too happy with some of the characters, and they were going through financial difficulties or whatever was happening there. But they just went to Joe and Jimmy Palmiotti and said, "Hey, you take those bananas. We don't. You take that Daredevil, Inhumans, the Black Kitty. You go do what you're going to do, okay?" And they went and they made history with it, with every last page of it, because these guys loved Marvel, loved Marvel's legacy, and they just built that shop into something amazing that we've never seen before. And then, I turned my back on this guy for a minute, and next thing I know, he's my boss. And then he's editor-in-chief, and then, he gets promoted to, Kylo Ren or whatever, whatever he's running down there. But we've been friends for a long time. This is a guy that I love and admire, and trust, and probably still owe money to. But he's a guy that helped rescue Marvel from bankruptcy, helped build a real enduring, lasting legacy, so much so that the corporate giants swooped in and stole it all away. But we're really grateful to have him. He's a giant in the business. He's my friend. And now he is the recipient of this Lifetime Achievement Award, which is around here somewhere. And I would like everyone to just kind of recognize my friend, Joe Quesada. Wow.
Yeah, sure.
Big shot.
Oh, come on, no. Wow, okay. I had a Ringo story. But let me just say, first of all, thank you. Thank you for this, and thanks to the Hero Initiative. First, let me talk about the Hero Initiative. They do God's work. Jim McLaughlin and team literally just work tirelessly, work behind the scenes. They don't promote themselves enough. So please, whenever you can, whatever you can, give to the Hero Initiative. And it doesn't have to be money. It can be time, volunteer at conventions. They do incredible work. Priest Jim. I'm one of the handful of people that could call him Jim because I knew him when he was a Jim before he was a priest. I've been very, very fortunate enough. You literally plucked me off the street. Literally. I was waiting in that lobby. And you saw something in me, and thank you. I've been fortunate enough to have some great mentors in my life. Archie Goodwin, Denny O'Neil, but the two greatest ones I've had have been Stan Lee and Jim Owsley. I learned more about not just making comics, but life and how to handle yourself as a professional in this industry from those guys. And thank you. He's one of my best friends on the planet. And for some reason, my wife likes you too. So I want to, first of all, thank you. I can't tell you how much fun it is to be back at a show. Not just seeing you all from the waist down, we know how that sounds, but also because it's wonderful to be amongst my tribe. We're all part of that same tribe. And give ourselves some applause, damn it! But I do want to tell a Ringo story because these are the Ringo Awards. as we all know, Mike was all about just fun comics, entertaining comics, right? Comics that just expanded your imagination and, spun a good yarn. But the story that I have about Mike is really one that's about his professionalism. So, bear with me, this is a little bit long. But, Mike and I, we weren't best friends. We weren't tight, but we were contemporaries, and we'd always see each other at shows and pleasantries. I loved his art, big fan of his stuff. And when I was at Marvel, he was working on the Fantastic Four for us with Mark Waid, doing a legendary, beautiful, beautiful run of the book. And one of the things that I learned as a professional, very early on from another professional, because I'd found myself in this situation where I was being offered more money from another company they were poaching me basically to go to work for them. And I remember this professional telling me, whatever you do, if you decide to take that deal, make sure you finish the commitment you have with your current publisher, because it looks bad. You get a bad reputation. Even though you're making more money, it's a bad thing to do. Also, in the unspoken rules of publishing, a publisher would never ask you to leave in the middle of a project. That's just not the way it was done, because a publisher wouldn't want that done to them if someone was being poached from their lineup. So that's kind of the way that I approached a segment of my business. Things changed in the industry as Marvel started to, we started to do a little bit better. And, we had a great team there because nothing happens in a vacuum. So we were starting to gain a little bit of success, and our distinguished competition had to sort of do something to spark their business. And they hired new folks, and the management sort of methodology changed. And suddenly they were aggressively approaching our talent and going after them. But the methodology was different. The methodology was, hey, we're going to offer you significantly more than what Marvel is offering you. But you have to leave the project that you're on right now. Now, listen, I don't want to villainize anybody, but that was just a new methodology, and it really took me by surprise. So I would have artists and writers call me up and say, hey, listen, DC offered me significantly more than you're offering us. And we were just past the Chapter 11 point, so things were still tight. They're always tight, but they were really tight back then. And so we call, hey, they've offered me this amount of money. Can you match it? No, we can't. Okay. Well, I have to leave in the middle of the project. What? I have to leave in the middle of the project. Okay, so because if not, the offer is off the table. Those were the stipulations. So to me, it felt unfair because, number one, it was breaking the unspoken rules of publishing, but at the same time, it was putting a freelancer in a bad position where they had to sort of tarnish their reputation. This happened several times. And then they went after Mike. And they offered Mike a lot more money than we were offering Mike to go over to DC. So Mike called me up and said, look, this is what they're offering me. I said, Mike, let me go upstairs to management and talk to our publisher, Bill Jemis, and see if we can match it. And Bill's like, we can't. So I called Mike. I said, look, you just got to take the offer. And then Mike found out that he had to leave before his commitment was done. And he went back to DC and he told them to go pound sand. And he is, now here, the thing about this is, he is the only creator who said, no, I'm not going until I finish my commitment. And they told him, sorry, deal's off the table. So I ran up and spoke to Bill Jemis when I heard about this story, and we both decided we got to at least give him a raise. We couldn't match what DC was giving him, but we gave him a raise. And I will never, ever, ever forget that about Mike, because he was the only one who really showed true professionalism in the light of major dollars at that time. So to be here, at the Ringos, to be here accepting this at this dais, it brings back those memories of Mike, you know. And I think aside from the fun comics that he put out, the beautiful illustrations, and just being an all-around great guy, we should not forget he was a tremendous professional. So thank you.